Howdy y'all, I'm Ice Cold, and today I'm gonna be covering the dark side of this guy behind me, Prospector Zeke. So Zeke appears a total of 26 times in the spiral at the moment, and I decided to rank all 26 appearances by how weird they are. So for those unaware, in a lot of the worlds that you go to, Zeke will already be there before you get there. And people have joked about, Zeke being this omnipotent being, the final boss of the game. So I thought it would be funny if I just went ahead and ranked all of Zeke's appearances in the spiral in order of how weird they are and the circumstances surrounding them and how just odd they all are. Coming in last in 26th place, we have the Commons Wizard City, and it's never really specified what world Zeke is actually from, but it makes complete sense that he's in the common area of a low-level world, open to any travelers with his own shop and all that set up. Coming in 25th, we have Skull Island, go figure. It's effectively the same for Wizard City's appearance. I suppose he's just a friend of Captain Avery's who stays there from time to time. Coming in 24th, we have Hope Springs Wallaroo, and here everything seems to check out. This is the first world in a hot second that we've been to where there weren't some crazy circumstances in which we got to the world, so it makes sense that Zeke is here before us. In 23rd, we have Regent Square Marleybone, and this honestly seems pretty standard. It's the main hub of Marleybone that's connected to the world door. Everything checks out here. In 22nd place, we have the Jade Palace Mushu, and this also seems pretty standard for the same reasons as Regent Square. In 21st place, we have Pigswick Academy Wisteria, and it's a rival school and all that, but still seems easy enough to get here. In 20th place, we have Caramel City Caramel, and this is, again, pretty standard. Hub area for what's basically the Wiz equivalent of Switzerland, so a neutral place with not a whole lot going on outside of, their own thing. And seems like there's a good amount of coming and going here. You look around and you see, natives to the world, but then you also see a guy like this who looks like he's from Avalon. You look over here, you see like an Aztecosaur, that type of thing, so, and a Mandarin and all that, so everything checks out here too. Coming in 19th place, we have Walrusburg Polaris, and I guess the only thing that could make this weird at all is the Inspector's Brigade questioning him as he came in, like Inspector Fouché and all that. Otherwise, it makes sense for Zeke to just be chilling in the main hub area of Polaris. In 18th place, we have Abbey Road Avalon, and yeah, the Caliburn area, just in general, seems to be pretty friendly. It makes sense for him to be here. In 17th place, we have the Baobab Crown Zafaria. Inyanga is able to give you clearance to get to the crown pretty fast, so I'm sure Zeke could have done the same. So everything checks out here too. Coming in 16th, we have his appearance in the Oasis Crocotopia, and originally I wasn't sure as to whether or not I should put this above the weirdness level line, but it really just seems like you have to earn Ambrose's trust for him to give you the spiral key, and Zeke seems to be chill with Ambrose, so yeah, it makes sense for him to be here as well. So here in Celestia Base Camp Celestia, this one's a little screwy when it comes to the timeline. It's been said before that Celestia was supposedly lost ages ago, and we're the first ones to go here in a long time, so how exactly is Zeke here before us? It's possible he could have just been there since before Celestia got sank under the ocean and all that, but that would create a massive plot hole. So I'll just stick to believing that he got here through like a storm gate on a supply run or something, but even still, the logistics of Zeke staying here don't exactly check out. 14th place here in Caravan Mirage. This is probably the only time Zeke appearing in a world that took us a lot of effort to restore actually makes some sense. We don't see Zeke until Birdie sends us to help Guillermo and we get him to Caravan safely, and if he'd appeared before, this would be top 3 without question. But this is as high as it is because he does appear very, very soon after we release the world door from the Endless Sand Sea, which in itself is a top secret mission from Gizmo and the Arcanum. So, him getting there, it's not that weird because the spiral door, we did restore it before he got here. but, you know, it's it's not, him getting here isn't all that weird, but the speed at which he got here after us, however, is. Because, you know, how would he know that Mirage was back on the grid? That type of thing. Coming in 13th place, we have Monquista City, Monquista. And if you've played Pirate, you know that you need little windstones of different colors to travel between worlds. And this is the first example of what I call the Zeke Windstone Conundrum. He appears in every world, but this isn't the situation where he can just take the spiral door, since there isn't one here in the city. He needs to actually get on a ship, whether it's his or not, and whoever the captain is needs to have a specific windstone to go through the storm gate. For Monquista, it's not all that hard. Violet windstones here will take you here from Skull Island, and while our pirates have to battle Marleybonian ships for one, I'm sure Zeke can just ask for one since he's cool enough with Marleybone to be able to go to Regent Square. If he wasn't, this entry would be a lot higher, but that's just the first route. Monquista City pretty much exiled our pirate on arrival after we brought back Gortez from the Isle of Doom, who their king requested to be brought back from the Isle of Doom. So I'm not sure how Zeke manages to chill near the life fountain with no repercussions, but that lack of knowledge will keep this down at 13th place. The Zeke Windstone Conundrum and King Fernando being off his meds should probably warrant a higher weirdness level rating, but hey, it's Zeke. What can you do? 12th on the list is here in Hamamitsu Garden, Mushu, and the Zeke Windstone Conundrum is back in full force for this one. With the Emperor being asleep in Pirate's timeline, I find it a little hard to believe that Zeke would come by a green windstone all that easily, and as it stands, our pirates find our green windstone on the Santa Oro, which is a ship that we find at the bottom of an abandoned mine at an off-limits skyway in Cool Ranch, and I'll get to Cool Ranch later, of course, but we also have to fight the Armada's top spymaster in order to keep it, so, you know, it's possible he bought one of these off a shady pirate who had one to spare, or even another Marleybonian, but he'd have to elude the Armada's full force every single time he wanted to go back and forth. That's if Wiz Marleybone had a dock connected to it. Otherwise, once he gets here, it'd be pretty safe. It's just the getting there part that makes this appearance a little suspect, as well as putting it above Monquista. Coming in 11th place, we have Northgard Grizzleheim, and I think a part of Grizzleheim's lore was that the spiral door here in Northgard had lost connection with the rest of the spiral, but it reactivated, so Ambrose told us immediately. So, if we're the first to go here in years, how the hell is Zeke sitting here chilling with Balder and Nick Jonas? Bruh. It's the same case with the Celestia base camp appearance, except this is a longer time period and a hell of a lot weirder and less believable as a result. Rounding out the top 10, we have the Isle of Dogs in Marleybone. And you remember the Zeke Windstone Conundrum? Yeah, here's another worse example of it. To get the Yellow Windstone required to take the Mushu Marleybone Stormgate, meaning he had to do all of the stuff to get the Green Windstone to get himself to Mushu as well. He either had to fight waves of guards and the singular hardest fight in the Marleybone questline being Commander Davis in a fort that you had to break through via an underground tunnel, as well as know how to detonate explosives powerful enough to break into a locked safe, or he had to manage to convince someone ranking super highly in the Marleybone governments, like maybe even the Queen herself, in order to give him one. And my reasoning here is, if we were chill enough with Marleybone after Port Regal and the Sato ordeal, and still had to fight that hard to get a Windstone and then papers to travel here, I can't imagine it would have been easy for Zeke. But again, however, once he's here, he's safe. Coming in 9th place, we have Nova Aquila and Aquila. Go figure. It's basically the above reasoning for the Isle of Dogs, as the Yellow Windstone takes us from Monquista to Aquila, as you might be able to see here. The text is absolutely tiny, but hey, you know, if you can see it, you can see it. Except he'd also have to get permission from Gortez after the Old King was removed to use the Stormgate, and that might be harder since he's not personal friends with Gortez, but regardless, it's still one more step after everything he'd have done to get the green and yellow Windstones. Coming in 8th place, we have the Zocalo Azteca, and don't worry about all the, you know, chunks of comet falling everywhere. This is a similar situation to Grizzleheim and Celestia, except Azteca was thought to have been completely lost to a comet, meaning that there was no way Zeke could have been here before us, as he'd never been there in the first place. And The only reason we learn that it's still around is because Cyrus Drake's friend, Edward Haley, found a Quetzal with a spiral key leading here in his house. And, like, Pakal Redmask and the other mystics who stay over there, they were the ones who sent that Quetzal. So Edward Haley, you know, he called Cyrus, who called us, and that's where the story starts. So it makes absolutely no sense for Zeke to already be here. He might just be a mortal team. Especially, I wonder how many of these, like, chunks of comet have just smacked him upside the forehead. like since the world release, you know? Just something to think about. Coming in 7th place, we have Gold Creek Cool Ranch, and I was debating putting this in the extreme level, but there is one uncertainty that keeps it out of there. Anyway, I look back at a map of all the Skyways in Cool Ranch, and none of them have storm gates aside from Cooper's Ruse, which has the one to Skull Island, so that already rules out a ton of possibilities as to who else could be carrying blue windstones, but that's my uncertainty. There's no telling if there's someone selling blue windstones, but if there was, I feel like we'd have seen more non-natives of the world. Now, I'm not 100% on it, but I feel like I'd have seen a lot more than just, you know, chickens, ducks, bison, and horses there if windstones were more common. Regardless, though, our pirates come across a blue windstone just chilling there in Bruno Chapel, which is all fine and good until you realize Bruno Chapel is located in Grancia, Valencia, and oh boy, there's a lot of weirdness surrounding the circumstances in which we got our blue windstone. I'll cover Valencia in a bit, and it'll all add up in your head when I do. Welcome to the extreme level, where logic and reasoning come to perish in hellfire. So let's begin this one with Zeke's appearance in Novus. Maxine explains that the way she got here was by getting shot out of a cannon, so that effectively rules out the Stormgate possibility. We did recently find out that Novus did have a skyway, via the Doom Moon up there, and the ship fight and all that. But what windstone would even take you there? You know? And it's like, would a Stormgate have to appear somewhere else to even get them here? But, you know, regardless, the route we take involves going through Kathmandu and up to the Stone of Heaven before reaching Conatus. And Emperor Yoshihito has Mubu wait for us so that the two of us can go help out there before he lets anyone else leave for Kathmandu, so the Stone of Heaven theory is out. There's no feasible way that Zeke could have gotten to Conatus before us. He could have tagged along with Marleybone, Monquista, or Valencia, but it's never explained how they got there either, and if Maxine's talking about getting shot out of a cannon, then that makes Zeke being here that much weirder. So for the top 5, we have the Basilica Dragonspire kicking us off. And so the Emperor of Mushu is the sole keeper of the Soul Dragonspire Spiral Key for years and years and years. Then it's briefly in the Jade Champion's possession, then it's in ours when we use it to go here, after we fought Cyrus Drake and had him deem us worthy to go here and take down Malistaire. And Zeke's just chilling here, by the lava fountain, which I stole a while ago, with some random snack vendor. On Cyrus's private island that he deemed to be safe enough and far enough away to where Malistaire wouldn't detect him. I don't even know what would be weirder, if he'd had a rune and gotten into the Athenium, or how it actually is with him just being here in the Basilica. And this appearance makes absolutely zero sense and confuses just about everyone for damn good reason. So for 4th place, we have Aerial Shores Imperia, and you know, we took our world door, the only existing one, on the Spiral Arc, so there's one thing, but Zeke's explanation here is what really does it. But as we were sailing back to Avalon, out of nowhere the ship's captain starts hollering about a wormhole, and then everything went haywire. Now, I didn't see no worm, but I did see our ship get ate up by an electromagnetic rift in spacetime and spit out in the middle of yonder storm. Bruh. An electromagnetic rift in spacetime, probably happening between worlds, spitting them out in the middle of the ether, and Zeke gets thrown out onto Ariel, and all the blowfish survive it while getting thrown everywhere across Imperia's first half, including Sapidius, These, Anadu Sewers, and Inner Athenor. I'm a little bit more concerned about how the blowfish got where they are, but I guess Zeke has been in 3 weirder situations than this one, so I don't know about you, but out of all the ones here that have a canonical explanation, this is by far the weirdest, but at least he's safe enough on Ariel, right? So you're probably asking yourself, how did Savella Valencia, in one of the, spiral powers, how did that appear above an electromagnetic rift in spacetime? And why the hell am I so short? Well, for starters, to even get here, you would need an indigo windstone. So, you know, there's the Zeke windstone conundrum. It's back. And from what I remember, there was one buried inside the Scurvy Dog ship, but judging from the 2 places it'll get you, there probably aren't a lot in circulation. The 2 places are Avernus Skyway Dragon Spider and Aragon Skyway Valencia, which is what we're in right now. For one thing, Avernus is full of those overpowered bone drakes and only has storm gates to Monquista and Valencia, and there's an unused one at the top of the Skyway as well. I really cannot imagine why anyone normal would want to go there when there's a good few more direct storm gates in Calabria, but our pirates did have a valid reason, I suppose. The other part of it is Aragon, and a side quest in Valencia Part 2 describes Aragon as quote-unquote too remote for something or other, I can't remember, but that does make sense, as there's a lot of grassy, unused areas alongside Sevelia, Grantia, and Steed's Villa, so already the windstone's a problem because no one wants to make or look for windstones that lead to hell, and beyond that hell, a lot of nothing that you can just access via Calabria if you have permission. And, like, our pirate probably took the only one in Skull Island. So how about that? The other part of this is, the Armada does not like humans. We have to get 4 parts off of patrol ships to make a suit for our pirates so they don't get recognized, which is why I'm so damn short. And the first unicorn we meet talks about how we're short for a troop. And with that in mind, how the hell do Zeke and Eloise just sit here on the docks without getting obliterated? Like, you know, you see, look at that. There's Armada troops everywhere. And he's just totally fine. He can give them the evil eye all he wants, and they can't do shit. So it's like what's the lore here, King Zal? Come on, tell us. We already know that getting the windstone to get here is nearly impossible just as it is, but this isn't like Hamamitsu or Ariel where he can just chill after getting here. He is in an active military zone, surrounded by troops who are programmed to kill on sight, and he's just totally fine. Like, he might just be immortal. I feel like they tried firing on him before, but dude, he must have like massacred so many of them. This is why Zeke's gonna be the final boss in both games. Our pirates have the diplomatic immunity thing going on when we go back to Calabria, but I can't imagine Zeke having some national protection going on when he just wanders the spiral like he does. And I hope the Cool Ranch appearance is adding up now, because when you combine how long it takes you to get here, and how careful you have to be while you're here, and then how you have to go to an island that's been destroyed by the Armada to get a blue windstone, it does in fact get a little peculiar. Coming in second, we have the Silent Market Chrysalis, and we've covered limited accessibility, we've covered time rifts, we've covered active military zones, and yet none of those stack up to the Chrysalis appearances. We make the only existing spiral key to Chrysalis with the Council of Light on the Isle of Arachnus, and yet Zeke's just already here in the Silent Market, past the B barrier, the Rune Gate, and Morgant's forces in the Bastion Silent Market area by the time we show up. I've covered the individual absurdities, but this is the spiral key issue and the active military zone issue both in one. I cannot comprehend how Zeke makes it to these places either undetected or managing to not be cared about by the local troops. And it even manages to get worse. To top off this list, we have his appearance in Sardonic's Chrysalis, and he made it into Chrysalis before us, despite Morganth's wards and us being the ones to make the only existing spiral key. Then he got past Zoltana and the Honeycomb Barrier and into the Silent Market, where he just stayed without any of the Umbra Legion thinking, hey, you know, maybe this guy shouldn't be here. And while it makes sense for him to be there after we freed the Eclipse Tower, him getting there beforehand is wild. But then there's the business with the Starfall Sea. The Desert Hoppers somehow managed the trip and barely survived, and our wizards only went halfway across it before landing on the Alcazar as it stands. Whether or not he managed to get all the way to Sardonyx or just to the Alcazar and then somehow sneak into Radiance Reborn while we were off doing Morgant's Dreams or whatever to take a teleporter, that hardly matters. It's the fact that he did it, alright? And we needed Coleridge to steer the damn bug while we helped out on the back, and then he needed us to watch all the stones, and then getting those was another endeavor entirely. I don't know how Zeke managed that while he quote-unquote drove the bug. And then, upon making it here to Sardonyx somehow, he had to get behind this gate to the Troika Palace courtyard, to which there were just a few keys given to the Troika members and probably a couple of guards too. This appearance took number 2's weirdness and added a bunch of even weirder steps to it, And it is, in my opinion, the strangest and most unbelievable Zeke appearance in the entire spiral. I mean, look at this. You have the Night Feeders just chilling here. They're just walking around. They're ignoring Zeke. They don't care. And it's like, damn, bruh. I don't know how he does it. I'm gonna go lie down now. But yeah, thank y'all for watching. This has been quite the experience making this video. I think that, like, it's so unbelievably goofy how Zeke makes it to these places before us. It's like there have been some occasions, like in Mirage, where it's like he at least like there was an explanation as to how he like got there because he came after us. But for some of these, it's so insane, and I just have no idea how he gets to where he gets. You know, I'm excited to see just how far KingsIsle decides to push this, because, you know, it's like the Novus appearance was, as you saw, like extremely strange, and I don't know, I just, maybe they'll add more explanations for how Zeke got to where he got, kind of like they did in Imperia. So I guess we'll just have to see, won't we, team? But yeah, thank you all for watching. I've been Ice Gold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave like 50 comments for the algorithm, and I'll see y'all later.